Okay. August 17th, 2017, 2:06 p.m. rhcain noob study group. And Kit is facilitating today. Take it away, Kit.
Yes, we have Jake Gilbert joining us, who just released a very interesting rhoc-based voting component that can be used within the rhcain GitHub. And this meeting is really focused on that component. So we're going to ask him to start by giving us a high-level overview.
Sure. So I will share my screen here. All right. Do people have a view of my screen?
Yep.
Great. So really, the idea of the application is to be able to spend small amounts of rhoc. It actually uses the smallest increment possible right now to be able to vote on GitHub issues. So this is what it looks like in the extension. You should be able to go to any GitHub issues pages and have vote buttons show up with a number beside it that shows how often or how many votes a particular issue has. It's using sort of two extensions. It's using this rhcain voting extension, which is here, github.com, Jake Gilbert git vote. And in addition to that extension, you need another extension or tool that is injecting Web3 into your browser. So I'm using MetaMask right here. Right now it's deployed on the Ropsten test network. It's sort of a quirk of the ERC20 tokens is that you have to make two transactions at once. To make a single vote, you have to make a transaction to approve. You need to make a transaction to the ERC20 account to approve a transaction from the voting application to be able to transfer rhoc. And then you need to make a transaction to the voting contract to actually initiate that transfer and record the vote. So that's the high-level overview. I guess I built an extension just using JavaScript, and I built the contracts using Solidity. You don't have any questions with that high-level overview, or have any desire to look at a particular component of the extension?
I have a question. So the way that you just said that is anything on GitHub, you can use this to vote on? Everything on GitHub?
Yeah. Yep. It will work on any issue.
Okay. I wanted to make sure I understood that correctly. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, so if you want, we can get into the contract that's running behind the scenes. So as repository contracts, we have this ERC20 voting contract. The beginning here, we just define the ERC20 interface so that we can use that later on. This is standard. And the ERC20 voting contract right now is just really simple. We have one mapping that maps 32 bytes to an unsigned integer, and that is public. And that mapping is called tokens received. We have an ERC20 token that's associated with the contract. that token is initialized in the constructor here. When you create this contract, you pass in the address of a token, and then it initializes an ERC20 contract of that token. And then there are sort of two functions. One function is to vote. You send in your 32 bytes, which signifies the candidate you're voting for, and the number of tokens that you want this vote to be for. Right now, is only sending like 0.000080 zeros and a 1, so the smallest rhoc unit possible to the network. Or actually, it's just sending a 1, right? Which is translates to that. And this is just checking to make sure that the ERC20 token transfer, transferring from the sender of this message, so transferring from the address of the voter to this address, the number of tokens specified. And if that is successful, then we will update tokens received for the candidate with the number of tokens that the vote was for. And then we have another function that gets the votes for a particular candidate, and that just returns the correct entry in the mapping. So a couple of things to note for this contract. Say you wanted to get a list of every single issue that's been voted for. You can't really do that because mapping is sort of, you can't iterate through it without invalidity, without any updates, or without any extra functionality that's added. So really, all this contract is good for is voting for a particular issue that you already know and have, or getting the number of votes for an issue that you already know and have. So yeah, that's
how is it identified? What's in the 32 bytes?
Yeah, so the 32 bytes could be anything you want. The extension is using, and I can show you that. This would be source. So this function right here is how you turn a username, a repo name, and an issue number into a key for this contract. And this is, you're taking the SHA-3 of the user with a flash in it, plus the name of the repo, plus the string, plus the issue number.
So you have to know what issues have been voted for in order to look them up?
Yeah, I mean, or you have to know which repositories you care about issues in, right? Because the extension will automatically look those up for you, right? If you go to issues, I can see right up here that you know, this Kickstarter fashion proposal has 1 vote, and the standard statement of work has 1 vote, and the rest have 0 votes. But yeah, it would be difficult with the current setup to get like a full ranking of all issues unless you sort of manually knew what repositories you cared about issues in.
Right.
And so that's an enhancement that I'm considering, but I think only if, you know, people really care about that. And I think I just wanted to get a prototype out there as fast as possible for the first iteration. Any questions or comments?
Well, on a general level, I'll comment that it's.
I have a question. If that's for everything to be voted on, can you close it for just a team, or does that mean everybody in the world can vote on something, or can you narrow it down?
So I guess theoretically you could narrow it down easily. Right now, not anyone in the whole world could vote on an issue. They would have to be holding rhoc. So anyone who holds rhoc can vote on an issue right now. We're not voting using Ether, we're voting using rhoc. So that already sort of narrows it down to, you know, the community of our rchain members, rchain activists, people who care about rchain.
Right, and it occurs to me we might want to charge more for a vote.
Yeah. So I mean, I think right now, yeah, I kind of go back and forth on this. I don't think we want to necessarily be, you know, sort of. And another thing that happens is right now the rhoc that is sent to this contract is effectively destroyed. It can't ever come out of the contract the way it's set up. And you know, I kind of go back and forth. You know, what it does allow is it allows someone with a lot of rhoc, they can make a lot of votes. I think that would be sort of expensive to do on the Ethereum side of things, at least by using the extension and clicking votes or clicking votes. I think optimally we'd like to have people be able to specify, you know, how much value in a particular vote they want to give. I would think.
Right. Well, this is a great framework. I guess there's all kinds of different versions of it that could be deployed it's not far away from a contract that would actually fund the issue.
Sure. Yeah.
This is a great example. If I mean, the contract could hold the rhoc, and you could have a withdraw function, or there's a lot of ways to handle that. Or just, you know, assign it to a multi-sig wallet or whatever. I mean, if you were going to use this to actually for tips and donations, it could be that this could be expanded ultimately to send the reward to the issue, and or something like that. It's a lot of possibilities.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of possibilities. I think one thing that we would have to have is sort of a process defined and a process that is okayed by everyone who's going to be using that tool. Just since there is so many options, right? I think we need to design something sort of process-wise that's robust before adding this technology on top of it.
Right. Yeah, we can experiment and test net. You know, we have a lot. You know, we can work out what we want to provide for the community. I think the vote is very cool. I mean, there's no reason, right, that we couldn't add another button or another function.
Yeah.
So if I go to the repository, I hit clone or download, copy to click.
You can just hit download zip, that button right there.
Download zip.
Yep.
Well, that's painful for me. I want to have the opportunity to fork the source or whatever.
Okay, sure.
So I want to do a git. a git clone, right?
Yep.
And I want to paste that in. Whoa, what did I do? Copy here. Copied. Paste. Okay, and okay, and let's see.
Installing, you have to go up a couple. Yeah. So now I go to Chrome extensions. You're on step 3.
Copy. Chrome extensions. We might want to make that a hot link. And
It doesn't allow you to hotlink that actually.
now,
You got to hit developer mode up in the right-hand corner there.
all right.
And then load unpacked extension. And navigate to wherever you put that repository.
So it's in Git.
And git vote.
It's in Git vote.
Hit OK. All right, and then go to the issues page. Yeah, also make sure MetaMask is on the Ropsten testnet.
That's a good idea. Hello. And unlocked. Okay. And I have ETH there, but no rocks. Or no test tokens.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you might have them. They're just not. The address for the token is down in testing there if you want to add that address.
8 decimal places?
Yep. That information is actually pulled in from the contract. So.
Okay. Yeah, no tokens.
Okay. Can you want to send me that test address then?
Yeah, I'll just go to the chat here. Okay, so if I go to issues here.
Jim, your sharing is off.
Oh. Okay, okay, I don't have a button here.
Shift reload.
There we go. Awesome.
Okay. And I just sent you some test rocks, so you should be getting those soon.
Okay, so here you're saying this is suggestion. Okay, well, I'll just vote for one here, and I'll submit this transaction. Oh, you owe 1 token. Add token.
So yeah, you see you have 0.5 rhoc down there.
Wow. Did that do it?
I don't think so.
Now I submit the second transaction.
Yep.
So a transaction is like 1 Satoshi?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, so basically I'm done.
Yeah, you should be. MetaMask, I don't know why that's hanging around.
Well, I think these windows tend to stay open. You just have to close them. If I go back to sent, okay, I have these 2 transactions sent today.
Yep.
And if I look at the transaction, I see it hasn't been confirmed yet. So we're not going to see the vote yet. And that'll take a minute. Okay, if we look at the
There you go.
okay, I got it.
So you should be able to go back to that issues page and see your vote.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might need to refresh there. There you go.
Well, it didn't show up.
It didn't?
Did you see it, Kip?
Oh, well, I saw that button with the 1 there, and I thought that was it. So I thought it worked. But you voted for a different one?
There was already 1 vote on this one.
Ah.
Let me try a vote on this one. Look at the transaction. We see that it transferred 1 rhoc to an address. There's the second transaction.
How long do confirmations take on the test network?
Really depends on the day.
The transfer token finished, so the vote should have been there. Now, if for some reason it may be caching it or something.
Shouldn't be. Let me see. Let's make sure that you're interacting with the right contracts, and I didn't.
I guess, am I done here? I think this is done.
Yeah.
So, oh well.
I'm seeing your votes here.
Okay, so the vote 1 worked here.
That worked. Yeah.
This one worked. This one doesn't show 2. It only shows 1. So there may be a bug.
I'll look into that. I see the transaction, so.
Yeah, it definitely transferred the rhoc. So you'd think it would be in there.
Did it, let me, where's the?
It looks like you may have overridden the value wrong or something. Somehow put the 1 back.
Maybe.
Of course, we can look at the code and see if we can figure
Can
it
you
out.
vote again?
The same one?
Yeah.
Sure.
The 3rd vote? Now look at this. Wait a second. What happened to the one down here? Now it's 0.
Yeah. That's odd.
What?
Oh, no, it isn't. It isn't. This is loading up here. Okay, so I guess this is waiting for the transaction.
Yep.
If I leave this page, is it a problem?
I don't think so. It shouldn't be.
No, just for the heck of it, I'll open the code in the new tab. Vote 2. Got it. Vote 1. Now, why didn't it get the first time? I don't get it.
I don't know. I'm going to look into that for sure.
I'm going to vote again on the second one, see if it's missing. It's missing the second vote somehow. Because this actually should be 3 votes, but it says 2. Could be a round off.
It shouldn't be.
Okay. So we look at the contracts. We look at total votes for tokens retrieved candidate. Okay. That looks all right. What am I missing here?
So the name of this contract is ERC20 voting. Does that mean that other tokens could be used just as easily?
So no. In this contract, when it is created, it's initialized with a particular ERC20 token. So this one is only working using these test rhocs.
Okay. This contract would have to be altered if we moved it to the mainnet then.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually I did some pretty cool setup with Truffle so that I actually don't have to change any code when deploying it to the mainnet. If you guys want to see that, I could show that to you. Did some hacking of the Truffle migrations.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good to see.
Sure. Let me share my screen here. So the migrations are the scripts that run when you hit truffle migrate. And I guess we need to see that file and one more file. There's this truffle.js file, which is sort of the config file for truffle. And what this is doing is I have specified some networks. So right here, my development network is just sort of a local thing that I'm running. This is when I'm running test RPC. I'll use the network development. And then for Ropsten, I added some more information, letting it know which address I wanted to create the contracts from, the gas price that I wanted to use, the gas limit I wanted to use, the network ID. This is the network ID of Ropsten itself, and then I was going to be deploying it using a NIST or using Go Ethereum that was running on the Ropsten network on my local host. So once Truffle sort of has these different networks that it knows about when you are migrating, you can use those network definitions in the migrations. So when I'm deploying the contracts here, you can see I set the token address up front. This is just the address for rhocs on the mainnet. I have another variable here that tells me that an ERC20 token is deployed. If the network is the live network, or if the network is not the live network, so I need to deploy a test ERC20, I will do this. I essentially deploy this test ERC20 token. Otherwise, I just say, yep, it's already deployed. And then I will make sure that that function actually resolves async. And then I deploy the ERC20 voting contract with this token address as the constructor. So token address will be this. If we're on the live network, token address will be the address of the deployed test ERC20 if we're not on the live network.
Awesome.
Yeah. The code for this extension operates entirely in the browser, right? It's not actually interacting with GitHub.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. How complicated would it be to use the GitHub API and get people who have check-in rights in this repo?
And so how complicated would it be to use the GitHub API and do what? Sorry, you broke up a little bit there.
And find out who has check-in rights in this repo.
Yeah, you could do that pretty easily.
So can you explain how it works, how the plugin works a little bit? How does it actually get to add a button on the screen there?
Yeah, sure. So am I sharing my screen still? No.
No.
Are you familiar with?
Am I familiar with? I'm sorry, one more time.
Are you familiar at all with GitLab?
No, I'm not. I think I came across it briefly when I was doing research for this, but I don't know much about it.
Now, we have an instance of GitLab running on our CloudTron machine, and we're planning to use that as a self-hosted GitHub. And there's a lot of integrations. I don't know how similar the integrations to GitLab are to those of GitHub, but something we're looking into. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So this is the top level file for a Chrome extension, the manifest file. It sort of just tells you what scripts are going to be running. This extension is really simple. It only has essentially one content script and a script that gets injected to the page. So what this is saying is that this extension will run whenever we are on GitHub. And more about that later. But you can't actually restrict it to run only on the GitHub issues page. You have to have it run on all of GitHub. And there is this is the content script. So this is the script that gets loaded whenever you're on one of these pages, is the content script. And the content script needs accessible to it this insert votes JavaScript. So we'll close now. So here's the content script. The content script is pretty simple. What that does is create a new script object and it loads it with this insert votes script and injects it into the page. The reason that you actually have to inject a script into this page instead of running it straight on this content script is the content script actually has a separate JavaScript environment running in it. So if you were to try to access Web3 from the content script, you would not see anything since the Web3 is injected into your browser page's JavaScript environment and not the content script's environment. So this just is injecting the script so that they can interact with Web3 and other things that are injected into your browser. So this is here. This is the meat of the extension. First, we just sort of define our contracts. We are using Truffle contract to interact with them, which is pretty handy promise library for interacting with contracts. And then here's where we actually get the Web3 that's injected. So if we can find Web3, then we will add our voting issues. We'll add our voting if we're on issues page. So one interesting thing about GitHub is when you are clicking around on tabs, so when you're doing something like going to pull requests here or going to issues, you can see that my URL is changing, but it's actually not taking me to a new page. This is all being done using Ajax. Like if I refresh on pull requests and one issues, part of my browser still thinks I'm on pull requests, which is why you need to give the extension access to all of GitHub. Any questions there?
No, but it's interesting how when you're writing, Ajax, and you find yourself interacting with other Ajax, that you have to take steps to manage it.
Yeah. Yep. So this is just listening for an event that tells me that we've refreshed, and then I will also then add voting if we're on an issues page. And if we can't find the Web3, then we put out a error to the console log and just don't display the buttons, don't do anything. You know, in the future, maybe a pop-up or something else would be nice. But for now, that's sort of what we're doing. So this is just making sure that we're on an issues page right here. We just look at the path. And then we get to actually interacting with the page here. So this is what runs if we have Web3 and if we're on an issues page. So we get our contracts instantiated here. We set the provider for those contracts using Web3. And then this is where I am querying all of the list items that have a class of JS issue row. And then I iterate through those and basically find the element, find the table where the issues table. I reduce the size of the first column, create find the link, use the link to get the user repo and issue number, create sort of my all of the elements that make up the button right here. Use some class names so that it is styled in the way that GitHub styles things, and add this event listener to the button that basically says, you know, vote when the button is clicked. I put those into the document. That's this whole section here. Oh, and then I also load all of the votes for each issue. Any questions there? Any more details that you'd like there?
Where are the votes stored?
The votes are stored in the contract, right? So, so the votes are stored in the voting contract, and I am actually getting the votes. So, if you remember that get votes for function, this is where so this is a function that's running to grab the votes, get votes for, and it is down here. So we're actually using our ERC20 contract and calling votes for with our key, and that is what is populating the number of votes. Did that answer your question?
Yes. Well, two things. It's interesting that we're storing the votes in the contract, so the contract gets updated with every transaction, and it becomes a little database unto itself, you know, a flat file type thing. And are we counting votes, or are we counting satoshis in the contract, or both?
We're counting satoshis. Right now, one satoshi is one vote when you're using this extension. Theoretically, you could call into this contract because the contract takes whatever magnitude votes you want. You could be voting, or someone could be voting with larger magnitude votes.
Okay.
Yeah, and this extension could be enhanced to allow larger magnitude votes as well.
Yeah, so can you show us where you call the vote function? The vote function in the contract?
Yeah, in the contract itself. Sorry, do you want to see where the votes get pulled in by the extension, or where the function in the contract is?
Where you call the contract?
Yeah. Okay. So so right here is the function that actually calls the contract. Well, yeah. So this is a function called get votes for. You pass it this ERC20 voting contract, as already instantiated. That basically is the contract that's deployed on the network. You give it the key, and this gets an ERC20 voting instance. So that is this function right up here. This polls, or that's the ERC20 instance. This basically just says where the ERC20 token is deployed at. Give me that.
I was asking about the send vote function.
Oh, sorry, the send vote function. Yeah.
So where you send an amount there, and that amount is set to 1.
Yeah, that's right here, line 141.
Okay, so you call the vote function with a constant of 1, and if we change that so you could vote multiple times or whatever, we would put that here.
Yep. This is where you would modify that.
Right. We could have made 1 fixed in the contract itself, but this way we don't have to change the contract. If we want to change this, I don't know. It's
right.
A slight security issue here.
Yeah.
People could stuff the ballot box.
Right. Yeah, and I guess that was a question that I had for you guys. Does it make sense to lock this down to 1 vote is 1 Satoshi? Does it make sense to just sort of allow people to throw a magnitude behind it of whatever they desire? Yeah, because I mean, theoretically, right, even if you set a vote to 1 Satoshi, someone could write a script to do a lot of 1 Satoshi votes. And yeah, I guess you would be able to see that in the transaction log. You would also be able to see larger votes in the transaction log as well. But yeah, there's nothing.
You can keep a mapping of who voted.
You could, yeah. That does increase sort of the expense of using this contract. Storage is expensive. Ethereum transactions aren't cheap.
Right. So if we look at the cost here, the last transaction was, I don't know how to translate that. It's
20 cents. That's the cost.
Yeah. Let's see. What is the gas?
It's 0.0007 gas. I don't know what that.
Well, that would be the total transaction fee, right? The gas used by the transaction. Let me look. We can just look at the
gas used by transaction is 35,406.
Yep, and then you need that plus what is used for the first transaction. You need to add those two together.
Right, and that's. Do you know how much that is about? Yes, used is 45,266. So 45 plus 35, 80,000 gas.
That sounds about right.
All right. Maybe we can get one more thing done before the hour here. If you're, see if we can answer some questions on the membership contract. I don't know if you had a chance to look at it.
No, I haven't actually yet.
It's a prototype. It's just meant to be very simple. It's not following all the best practices and stuff. I have sort of a to-do list, bringing it up to standards and making it deployable. for people to learn while they're doing and get paid. If we can find some people who want to learn Solidity, we can make progress here. The one issue we have right now is that since we originally wrote this, the throw has been depreciated. Can you suggest how to exit here if we are you familiar with revert? Require assert revert, I guess, is what we want, right? Revert.
Yeah. That would be the right thing to do.
Actually,
okay. Okay, we tested the activate function, seemed to work. We tested claim factor, seemed to work. Now, I don't know why we have two claim factors here.
Actually, before time is up, I would like to take a minute to show Jake my screen with Parity.
Yeah, actually, that would be great.
Okay, hang on a sec. Where's Chrome?
Jake, do you know any Google script?
Nope.
You want to?
Maybe. What are you building with it?
Well, we fill out a form to pre-register a member.
Yeah.
And we can send email and do events from that. We can call, APIs and stuff that we want to call.
Mm-hmm.
The way it's set up now is when the form is completed, it just sends email. But we want to initiate a number of things when somebody completes a form.
Yeah, I saw that you wanted to compute some hashes.
The hashes are completed on a separate sheet in the same form. So we have the hash and the registration data. Okay, we probably want to put that into a database.
Uh-huh.
At that point, we want to freeze it, so to speak. The current extensions we're using are just using Firebase. And that would be an easy thing to use temporarily until we had nodes that had our own database.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess part of it is just triggering the custom emails, which we might be able to do without a lot of Google script.
Sure.
Fairly powerful what you can do there, but I did need some we can compute everything in the Google sheet, but then the actions we want to take as a result of the registration need to be separate.
Mm-hmm.
For example, we may want to trigger mailing an address confirmation to the person. But actually, we don't want to do that then. I have to go back and look at exactly what we need to do there.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little later. I want to figure out what's going on with the extension here. Can you hit Control-Shift-I on that page?
Sure. Yeah, feel free to instruct me here.
Yeah, and then can you refresh that page?
Okay, it's refreshing. If you want, I can scroll to the top and hold it there. So here we see in the second one what I saw earlier, Parity injecting Web3, and even before that, there's a problem with this API health, which I think is in Parity itself, because in Parity, if I pull up the console, then that shows up. And this is something that was not there yesterday, but it is there today.
Okay.
So that could be, well, interfering or confusing us. And the other point is that this Parity is not on Ropsten, it's on the mainnet.
Yeah.
Oh, that do it.
When I was planning to switch over to MetaMask, that was when you responded and said, "Oh, can you show me those errors?"
Okay.
So I haven't switched over. I have researched getting Parity on the test net, but it looks like I have to start it on the command line or something with an argument.
Yeah.
A hell of a lot easier in MetaMask, I must say.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I also was using this particular Parity for something on Monday and Tuesday. I didn't want to get rid of it and put it on the test net.
Sure. Yeah. No. Totally. That makes sense.
Okay, but now I could try that.
Yeah,
if we want to continue investigating what's going on with the Parity. However, we can take a look at it. I think we should concentrate on MetaMask first because it's working best there, and later maybe we should spend more time on Parity.
Yeah, it should be easier to change the system on Parity, and in fact, you can change it You can change it. Well, let's forget about it for now. The point is, or one point is that I found it necessary to have both Parity and MetaMask. And what you can do is you can go into plugins. You can just disable Parity and enable MetaMask to switch back and forth.
Okay.
Yeah, and it should work just the same with Parity once it's on the testnet.
Right. If it's like that, it should work.
Yeah, it will just display loading if you're basically when you're not on the testnet, it should be doing exactly what it's doing right now.
Oh, good. Okay. Yeah. Because this is definitely, whatever bug you fixed today, this is a big improvement from yesterday, because yesterday these were not showing up.
Yeah. And
we've got progress in any case.
Yep. That was the Ajax thing that I was talking about.
Okay. Well, I'm happy after I move some stuff around to try and get Parity running on Ropsten, and then we'll continue on debugging this to see if it works there. Because of course it would be great if it worked with both Parity and MetaMask.
Definitely.
Yeah, because they're both injecting. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
Okay, so we have the
really nice work. It's really nice to see this, and I really enjoyed that walkthrough of the code. I mean, I'm not a coder, so some of it is Greek to me, but it was still interesting to see it in process. And I think we should try and continue and keep focused. And by that, I mean voting Yeah, voting can become really complex. And if we start considering all the possible little options and all the different ways it could go, we could get stuck considering for a long time. So I would really prefer to try to keep this as simple as possible and get it actually implemented and working, and then deal with some of the inevitable complexity issues that come up later.
Sure.
Okay. We have bounties for today. I don't know what the rhoc is going for these days. I guess we'll keep it at 10 cents for now, which is the nominal price. And so that's oops, 500 for Jake. That sound good?
Sure.
That's the normal. Well, $50 is the normal standard coaching fee. Of course, we can pay anything. It's we're an autonomous work study. Okay?
Right.
We just have to watch our budget. So I'll need, and then we have 100 for Kit, 100 for, oops, Jim, who else participated here? We have Gary.
Gary and Brent.
Gary and Brent. Well,
Jake, this was a great demonstration. I'm inspired already by it. Jim, you've got to get this link up there, because I'll be watching this video again. I'm not up to speed like the rest of you guys, but I really appreciate it, and I'm impressed that we've come this far.
Yeah, I put in 50 for you and Brent because well, I don't remember you participating really, but I could be wrong. As opposed to 100.
All right, I'm satisfied, and Brent's satisfied.
Me too.
Okay, so we have consensus on this. I'm going to approve these.
Agreed.
This takes longer than voting.
Yeah. And, so I don't know if you want to do this. Where are we here? We have. I'm just approving it for Gary. Currently, our norm is that it's a double signature. Okay, we will be using a project wallet. We have, but I think we'll still be assigning in the sheet because we have to keep track of the transaction IDs and what they're for, which is not kept on the blockchain.
Sure.
But we will have multi-sig wallets for most of the projects. Um, so who, if I don't have your Ethereum address, send it to me.
You have mine up there on line 16.
Right. I have the transaction with you. Let me.
Do not send Jake's to the test net, okay?
Okay.
And Jake, in terms of next steps, we have your issue tracker, and so we can communicate there in terms of squashing bugs and everything.
Yeah, that would be wonderful.
And I wanted to say, if you need any help, like if you fix a bug and you think we should update the code and test this particular bug or just test in general or whatever, then yeah, just shout out, because we're all thrilled to participate, I think.
Okay, I have Kit, Brent, Jake, Gary. I think we're okay, right? That's
Sweet. Yeah, that's right for me.
okay. Is there anything else that we want to cover? We've gone 13 minutes over the hour.
I think we're good.
Yeah. Thanks for hosting us. Thanks for inviting me.
Thanks,
Thank
Jake.
you.
You know, you're such a valuable asset that I hope you'll come back and help us every week.
Sure. Yeah, I'll try to be more active.
All right, thanks so much. I mean, great job. And we all, I learned a lot. I think.
Good. All right, see you guys later.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.